All right, what is going on, guys? We are here with Kyle Bernier for another episode of Be the Exception podcast. Kyle, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Did you have a good workout?
Yeah, you destroyed me. It was absolutely terrible, but
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah. Just some barbell cycling work.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
It was
120.
it was nasty, but very, very, very good.
Yeah. So I guess today we'll just kind of get into a little bit more of your background. You've been around the CrossFit scene for a while now, right?
Yeah. Well, I technically found it when I was 18.
Yeah.
So whatever year that was. I graduated high school in 2011, so I guess somewhere in that range. 2011 is when I found it.
Okay.
But I really started competing heavily around 22 or 23.
Yeah.
So that might have been 2014, 20, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But I've been in the scene for a while.
Right. Yeah, I remember you came down to TTT in like 2017 for the first time.
Yeah.
I was like, who the fuck is this guy? He's fit as shit. Because I was still competing at the time. And I'm like, damn, this kid's aerobic as fuck. That's crazy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. That was when I first met you. That was when we were still at the condo. I think you actually introduced me to what was that Netflix series with the football? Last Chance U.
Oh, dude, that's a great show.
Great show. Yeah. You were the person that told me about it. So
Dude, that show is phenomenal.
so good.
Yeah, I used to love watching that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny thinking back at that condo. I used to come and stay there with you guys. You and who else? Tony was there.
Yep,
Who
yep.
else was there? There was there one more.
Evan was there for a little bit.
Yeah,
but I don't know
Evan.
if you ever were you there when Evan was there?
I was there when Evan was there.
Okay.
And I remember it was me and Will Morad came at one point, and we
Yep.
were sharing a room together.
Yeah,
That
dude,
was
that
great.
condo was so wild. So much fun
That
though.
was fun.
So much fun.
Dang.
But yeah, let's start back at kind of like the beginning. When you were an athlete kind of growing up, and you went to college to pursue athletics. So maybe we kind of start there and then kind of
Yeah.
ravel into whatever else.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing sports. I started at a really young age. It's funny because it's a little like I'm in the industry of like helping people lose weight,
Right.
And a lot of people who are in that industry at one point in time were heavy and lost weight. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And my story is not like that, where it's like my whole life I've just done fitness at a really high level, whether it's sports or whatever. So like I grew up playing football, running track. I did wrestling. I played basketball. I wasn't very great at basketball, so that one was out of there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I was really good at football, really good at track, really good at wrestling. But in high school, it was just football and track. College, football and track as well. And I found CrossFit when I was 18, and I was like, man, I want to do this forever. Like it was like the concept of you can get paid to do burpees really fast. I was like, why would I not?
Yeah.
Why would I not do this? I love working. I was always the dude that was like, we're doing extra sprints. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I was that guy.
You were that guy on the
Like when
team.
you try to punish me with more fitness, I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do this all day long. It doesn't
Yeah.
really affect me. So like when I found that out, I knew immediately that's what I wanted to pursue. But I wanted to finish out sports.
Okay.
I felt like I needed to at least commit to it a little bit because I'd done it my whole life. So I went to college. I did it for 2 years, football and track. And then at one point I was like, I just don't see a future in this, but I see a future in CrossFit. So I want to go for it. And so after 2 years, I stopped playing sports and just went all in on the CrossFit thing. And I picked up an internship in the weight room, which funny story there. I had no idea it was an internship. I thought I was just getting a job to clean the weight room and I'd be able to use it for free.
Yeah.
And so, dude, I walk in the first day.
Wait, you guys had to pay for the weight room at college?
No. Well, like I just didn't want to have to pay them to use it in case, because like the rec center didn't have what the weight room did for the athletes, like the power clean platforms, the chains, like the real stuff to train.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I wanted to have access to that still. So I was like, how can I still have access? So I thought I could get a job cleaning it,
Yeah.
and get paid, but then I'd have access to the gym there.
Use it, yeah.
So, dude, it was so funny. I walk in the first day, the assistant strength coach comes out. He's like, hey, what's up? And I'm just like, no idea to be professional because I don't know what I'm signing up for. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then come to find out, it's a full-on, like, got to be there at 5 a.m. You got to set up for the football team. It's a full-on internship.
Wow, okay.
And I was like, I did not want to say no to it because I wanted access to the weight room. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And it turned out to be one of the most transformative experiences because it was really hard because I had to be there at like 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
every single day.
Right.
But they actually educated us on strength and conditioning. So we would have actual sessions with the strength coaches about like, the Wendler 531s, the West Side Barbell, like all these things about like 2-to-1 ratios and strength progressions and this and that.
Oh,
and
okay.
hypertrophy. It turned into a whole thing where I was like,
Yeah.
this is awesome. And so I would get to apply it to my strength stuff. And so for 2 years I did that. And at one point in my undergrad, I was actually the assistant strength coach because the assistant strength coach left and I needed someone. And I'd already been there for like a year and a half. So for 6 months, I was the actual assistant strength coach, traveling with the football team, doing the whole thing. And I'm an undergrad and like a PE major. It was so fun. So I did that. And that was like I built a huge base of just like hypertrophy work, whatever. But I didn't have access to rings and ropes and whatever. So I was just doing my own stuff. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until after that where I like really got to dive into training for CrossFit. So I was doing training for CrossFit, but I wasn't at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I was training hard, but it wasn't like I still needed a coach.
Right. And it was kind of like you were training all the aerobic stuff prior to that, like with track and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was probably actually helping you out being in the weight room like that for your CrossFit career.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, because I remember my strength coach said, and I don't know why he said this or what the context was, but I took it as gospel. He was like, you're going to have to go through a major hypertrophy phase if you want to do this long term. And I was like, okay. Whether he was right or wrong, I don't know. I forget the context, but I was like, okay. And so for like literally the 2 years I was in there, I was doing like these large rep schemes, unilateral work that were just burying me. I was in there for like 2 hours training. It was totally unnecessary, but I was like, he said to do this, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
It just annihilated me. But honestly, I think it built a huge foundation of resilience that I wouldn't have got otherwise.
Yeah.
So I was like too dumb to know.
Right.
But it actually worked out better.
Yeah. I was like, man, young and dumb, there's like something to that for sure.
100%, dude. Yeah. I think using that when I had the opportunity was beneficial to a degree.
For sure. Yeah. So was it just something that he said, like, hey, just do these high rep ranges and do six different exercises or something? Or?
Yeah, he didn't. They never wrote a program for me.
Okay.
But I would kind of pull stuff from what they were doing. You know, one of the things I learned, and I don't know where.
So like the original cherry picking.
Yeah. But like they said, one of the things I learned was like, you want to do a 2-to-1 like pulling to push ratio because we're very anterior dominant beings.
Right.
And whether that's still true to this day or not, I still like to follow that protocol. Mm-hmm. So like I would literally just do 2 extra sets or like double the rep schemes on like posterior work. So I was doing a ton of single leg RDLs, RDLs in general, pull up, single arm rows, like, and I would just do a ton of it, right? And I would follow like a good progression would be like power work first, slow strength second, and then be like your accessory work after. And then I would do a nasty Metcon afterwards. That was like 45 minutes. It'd be so dumb. Like it was really dumb training.
Yeah.
But I would just do it.
Right.
And that laid a foundation of just being able to handle a lot of volume.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Man, the good old days when you're like 20, 21, you just beat your head into a wall and it literally doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can recover. And then it was crazy because I was playing intramurals at the same time too.
Yeah.
So I would go to intramural like ultimate frisbee. I'd have 2 games back to back that were 20-minute halves with like a 2 or 5 minute rest in between. You're sprinting around, and the games wouldn't get done till like 11.
Yeah.
So I'd go home, go to bed, and be at the weight room at 5, and then train the next day.
Yeah.
It was actually insane. Like I was probably doing more volume than I was when I was actually playing the sports.
Right.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, Andy, there's just something about that. Like when you're young, you can just run off of hormones like that, and like you can get 6 hours of sleep for 5 days and be fine. You know, or you can just like when you're in the middle. Like I think back to when I was in the Marine Corps, it's like we'd go like 3 days almost with little to no sleep.
Yeah.
But you're just like going the whole time. Like how the fuck?
Like how is it possible? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like you're so young. You have so much like testosterone and stuff. You just do it. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can handle it.
It's
really insane.
Yeah. So you built the base, and then you were still kind of CrossFitting, I guess, just doing crazy Metcons.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
Yeah. So then, I got to the proverbial moment where it was like, hey, are you going to chase your dreams or are you going to settle? Like that moment, because I graduated. Yeah. And it was like, okay, well, I'm a PE major. which is like the dumbest. I don't want to be insulting other PE teachers out there.
Yeah.
It's actually phenomenal because they teach you how to teach, which is
Okay.
very helpful.
Yeah.
And I think PE is obviously very beneficial. We need physical activity, but it does, like, outside of it, you can't really apply it to anything. Like, you learn kinesiology, you learn
Yeah.
some things, but like, it's not like an exercise science major, right? So like, the only thing I could really do was either go to a grad school and get an exercise major, or go be a PE teacher, or double down and pursue CrossFit professionally.
Yeah.
So I was like, F it, I'm pursuing CrossFit
we go.
professionally. So
Yeah.
I graduated and I got a job at a restaurant
Okay.
because I needed money.
Yep.
So I was working at this Italian restaurant in the evenings, probably 4 nights a week. And then I'd go to an open gym at a CrossFit box in the area from like 11 to 1 every day, and just throw down for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, just crush it. I was following Ben Bergeron's at the time. His
Comp train.
yeah, I was following that. And then I do some of my own stuff as well.
Yep.
But I was following that. And I did that for about 6 months until this is actually how I met Max. It was a really funny story. So I did that for 6 months until we went to spring break.
Yeah.
Spring break, we went to the Outer Banks. But
Okay.
on our way, we stopped by CrossFit Vitality in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Where Steve Pinkerton.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yep.
we stopped there because one of my friends used to go there, and so we stopped by.
What time frame is this?
This was 2016.
16. Okay.
Yeah, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve
And
was Steve still competing at the time?
he had just stopped.
Okay.
And so because he was doubling down on the gym, so he
Yeah.
had just moved to a new location.
Okay.
And he was in debt over his eye. Like, we did a podcast together. He was in debt up to his eyeballs. And
Really?
like, he had to make it work.
Yeah.
So he was in that phase, and I didn't know this, but I show up there. We throw down, and we're talking to him beforehand. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to be a competitor at regionals. And I found out afterwards that when I said that to him, in the back of his mind, he was like, yeah, everyone says that, but this guy's probably whatever. And I didn't know that. But people say that, like, I want to be a competitor, but like,
Yeah.
do you really want to be a competitor? Like, are
Right.
you actually good? You disciplined? Like, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until after the workout, I dominated the workout. He was like, oh shit, like, this guy might actually be pretty fit.
Yeah, like, to give some context, like, Steve was like 6'5", 245 pounds. He was a freak.
Massive.
Like, freak.
Massive.
To be able to do what he did in the sport, he was like very impressive.
And he is probably, I don't know if I've ever met anyone more disciplined than Steve.
Yeah.
Like, other than like hearing about it in podcasts and hearing about someone's discipline, like, in person, I've never met someone more disciplined. Incredible. I've gleaned a lot of wisdom from him. But afterwards, I asked him, I was like, hey, if you're ever looking for a coach or anything, like, I'd love to step into this and do this professionally. Just wanted to throw that out there. And he's like, I'll keep it in mind. Yeah. 2 weeks later, I get a call from him.
Wow.
He got my number from my friend Ben, who brought us to that gym.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, dude, just want to let you know, if you want a job, you got a spot here. He's like,
Wow.
He's like, you're a phenomenal athlete. I appreciate how humble you were in asking for a job, and we're looking for great coaches, and I just really think you'd be a good fit here.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like actually happening. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I said I would do it, but will I actually do it?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let me think on this, and I will let you know. A week later, I was like, dude, I'm in. Like, let's go. And I had nowhere to live. I had no job, like nothing. I was just like, I'm going to go for it. And so I move out there. And that's how, so Steve connected me with Max
yep.
at TTT, because
Yep.
that was his coach.
Yep.
And so Max started coaching me, and Steve was like, hey, I'll cover 85% of
Wow,
the charge
that's
program.
awesome.
He like really believed in me being able to go to regionals.
For sure.
And I think for his gym, like, getting some publicity in there, he was thinking from a business mind as well, but he wanted to help me too. And so that's what he did. He connected me with Max. And the only reason I said yes to Max was because he was like, hey, dude, I'm going to mess you up. He's like, your hormones are going to get messed up. You're going to be buried in, and I was in that mindset of like, more is better. I want to prove myself. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. and so I signed up with him, and that was 2016. And then it wasn't until 2017 where I actually made it to regionals.
Yeah.
And then that started that whole TTT journey.
Yep. Yeah. So moved down there in 2017. You stayed kind of on site with them for a while, right?
Yeah, I was at Vitality for 3 years. And it wasn't till Granite Games in 2018 or 19, I can't remember, where it was like my 7th or 8th competition that I just like did not do well at.
Okay.
Like I for whatever reason, I'd get to the semis and I just could not punch my ticket through. Mm-hmm. And he was like, hey, I think you'd do better being on site. He's like, so why don't you move here? And he's like, and it was nice of him. He was like, hey, I'll cover the cost of your programming for a little bit while you can get settled in.
Yeah.
And so I did the same thing again, dude. I just uprooted, came here to Alpharetta,
Yeah.
got a job at a restaurant,
Yeah.
coached a little bit at Passion, and just started training.
Yeah.
And just did the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was just like, winding the clock back. Like, let's start over. Let's go again.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And I did that for, 3 or 4 years until it led into me having a son. And that's
Yeah.
a whole other story.
Right.
So-
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So do you like in that experience? What do you feel like were the big lessons that you learned that you're like kind of applying to today's to yourself today? Does that make sense?
Yeah. From which part? Because I've learned a lot of lessons. And
Yeah.
there's a few that stick out.
I guess what I would characterize kind of like your past as is like you kind of had two blocks of competition. So like your first block was like introduction to Steve, Vitality. Honestly, like 3 blocks, like introduction to Steve and Vitality, down at TTT, and then this next one that you're kind of on, and I think we'll get into that a little bit more. But like
Yeah.
I would consider this like block 3 for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like between blocks 1 and 2, like what are some lessons that you've learned that you're now applying to block 3?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've learned, which is also really encouraging for other people, I believe, is it's not linear. Your progression's not linear. I thought for whatever reason that I was just going to keep like getting better. Like this week my Metcon was this time. Next week this same Metcon should be faster.
Yeah, right.
And then it should get even faster. And then it
Yeah.
should get even faster. And I should just keep getting stronger, 10 pounds a month. Like I just thought that that's how it worked.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like I started getting buried in some real volume
Right.
and doing some real training
Yeah.
that it was like I'd come in there and I couldn't hit like 85% of a max. Like
Right.
especially Olympic lifting. I feel like that's the one that's like always iffy for people, at least for me. And I was like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I had to really learn that it is not linear.
Yeah.
You just have to maximize the day with whatever you have.
Yeah.
If you're at 80% total capacity, okay, just use 100% of that 80%. And it's okay. Like let go of the performance aspect of it and trust that the performance will be there when you need to call upon it on game day.
Yeah.
But in training, it's just show up, go hard, learn from it, show up the next day.
Yeah.
That was a huge lesson for me. And like, because I'd get especially in handstand push-ups, I'd get so frustrated. Like to the point where my friends didn't want to work out with me. Like they're like, dude, you're way too pissed off. Like we don't want to be around you. And I actually had to learn like, okay, I cannot get mad at this because it's not making me any better.
Yeah.
And so when I would fail or I couldn't do a set or whatever, I'd actually have to just like take a breath, calm myself down, get back into it, and like learn how to not get frustrated and give myself some grace.
Yeah.
That was a huge lesson.
Yeah. Okay. So giving yourself some grace, you feel like that helped you out, or?
Yes, and it's a fine line because you don't want to be amicable with with not giving your 100% effort or
Right.
a bad performance.
Right.
Like you want to strive for greatness, but I do think there's a balance there where like you have to be realistic with yourself too. Like you can't expect like a PR performance every day, but you can expect a PR effort. And so like I really started, and I kind of gleaned that from maybe it was Bergeron where he talked about like focus on your effort. Because
Yeah.
I read his book and then I read Champion's Mind as well, and I think that's where I got that mindset
Okay.
of like
Yeah.
just focus on effort.
Yeah.
If you give your actual best effort, which is the only thing you can control, you will get better. And so like that's what I'd give myself grace in that sense of like, did I do my best effort today?
Yeah.
And that's really what I honed in on.
So when you were getting angry, you were more focused on
Performance.
the number. You're
Yeah.
like, I didn't get 10 unbroken today or 20 unbroken today. And
Yeah.
that's what would make you angry.
Yeah.
And when you started shifting more towards like, I gave it what I had today. And, you know, that's 8 reps in a row and sets of 3 after that.
Yeah.
That you felt made you a little bit happier. And then did that happiness translate to better performances or?
In handstand push-ups, yes and no. Like my last competition in 2021 when we were at West Coast, it was like, hey, the goal is to just not be last on the handstand push-up event.
Yeah.
So, because I was like, yes and no. Like I got better because I didn't get last on that one. I think I got like third to last.
Oh, there we go.
So that's cool. But it did make me happier overall.
Okay.
which I liked. Like I don't
Yeah.
really like carrying around that tension and that anger.
Okay.
Because then it just affects everything else. Right. So I really didn't enjoy that aspect of it.
Okay.
But it would still burn me down, especially like when you're used to. I don't know if this sounds douchey or not, but when you're used to winning every single workout.
Yeah.
And then you're getting beat.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're just pissed off. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to lose, but like I don't have the current ability that I need in order to win.
Yeah.
That can be really frustrating.
For
And so
sure.
it's like, so you almost go into survival mode. It's like the only way for me to get through this is to just focus on my effort. Because me getting mad about not being able to do something isn't working. So I'm just gonna have to figure out how to make this work to the best of my ability. So so instead of resting 10 seconds, can I rest 9 seconds? Like whatever, like something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sure if it answers your question.
No, it does. Because I also agree. I think there's like a fine line there, right? And like you were talking about being amicable to your performances and stuff like that. But I think that anger can, if channeled correctly, can be a powerful tool for improving performance. But I think a lot of the times people just channel it into seeing red and they don't do anything with it,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of like channeling it into, I'm never going to fucking let this happen again. And then using that energy to go and train harder or push
Yeah.
harder or do something else with it. If
But
that
letting
makes
it
sense.
letting it lead to action.
Yes,
And
yeah.
not just being frustrated.
Right, right. And I think part of becoming a better competitor is learning how to channel that anger into action, like you were saying. But I do think that there is a little bit of an anger aspect that's needed for performance. I think Jordan was a little bit more cool, calm, and collective, and I think he could probably channel some of that anger really quickly. Like, do you remember hearing the story about the kid that was talking trash to him, like in the game, and he's like, "Let sleeping dogs lie," and then drops like 40 points or something like that.
Yeah.
But Kobe was, I think, notorious for just operating, like fueling himself off of anger.
Yeah.
And Jordan would even create like lies and mantras about what other people were saying about him and stuff to like fuel him for performance. So I think there's an aspect of anger, at least on the male side of sport, that needs to be channeled into performance.
Yeah.
And so like, where's that balance, and like, how do you do that? Is
Yeah. I think that kind of almost gets into the block 3 phase for me, where I'm at
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
And I don't know if you want to go there yet, but
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let's do it.
because there's right now in this phase of my life, there's a lot of anger that does fuel me.
Yeah.
And I'm channeling it not only into fitness, like doing my best there, but just like getting my life together. There's a lot of anger that fuels me there.
Yeah.
And I find, and I don't know if this is healthy, it's probably not,
Yeah.
but when I start to not be angry, I
Okay.
get complacent.
Yeah. Right.
And so it's like I have to almost do similar to Jordan. It's like remind myself,
Yeah.
like I am pissed off.
Right.
Like I don't want to experience these things anymore. I
Right.
want to keep driving. But then not letting it like
Consume you.
consume you.
Right.
Yeah, because you like I have a son, I have a 3-year-old, so I can't be angry around my
Right.
son, right?
Right.
So it really is learning how to like turn it on, turn it off, turn it
Right.
on. Like find that thing, use it, turn it off.
Yeah.
It's very challenging,
Yeah, for sure.
but helpful.
Right, right. Because you just like when you're able to turn it into action, you just accomplish so much with it.
Yeah.
That's like almost not possible unless you have that burning desire to, like, that to create that action off of.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a very unexplored aspect of performance and just mental or like mental performance in general, is that like some people operate very well off of anger, but it's this finite controlled, like they're able to control it. It
Yeah.
doesn't control them. They're able to control it. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, it 100% does. And I think that's honestly, I think it's a mature thing to be able to do, right?
Yeah.
Like to really own your emotions, to understand like what you're feeling. Because also too, like anger, this gets into deep stuff, but I love going deep. Like
Yeah.
anger is a secondary emotion. Like, you know that, right? So
Okay.
it's like understanding, okay, I'm angry, but what's underneath that? Like,
Okay.
Is there sadness underneath? Is there fear underneath? Is there insecurity underneath?
Okay.
And so you want to attack at least for me, I want to attack those two and really process them and understand what I'm feeling. but then I also really want to use it because it's telling me something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people who run from anxiety. Like they run from anxiety like it's a bad thing, but anxiety could actually be telling you, hey, like you need to do something.
Right.
Like I feel anxious about my finances. Okay, well, do you need to work harder?
Yeah.
Do you need to pick up a second job? Like,
Yeah.
do you need to do something? So
Right.
it can be useful. And so I really try to think of it that way. It's like I'm angry and I'm frustrated. What am I angry and frustrated about? What do I need to do about this? Okay, well, I need to not take a nap today because I'm tired, and I need to like make content and post it because I don't like where my finances are at. You know what I mean? Like it leads to a decision.
Right.
At least for me, it does.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah. No. I guess where did they figure out that anger is like that secondary emotion? There's always like some sort. Do you know where you read that or like heard that? Or?
Well, truthfully, and I'll share this. I hope your audience is cool with it. I learned it when I was in a addiction.
Yeah.
Sexual addiction recovery group.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll just drop that on the audience. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's go. Reach out if you want to talk.
Yeah.
But because it's all about like any form of addiction is a coping mechanism.
Right.
And you're
Right.
coping for emotions that you don't like.
Okay.
Right. And so you feel angry. You don't know how to process it. So you go to something that makes you feel better.
Okay.
Right. And so what I learned is that number one, identifying them is super helpful and processing them. But one of the things we talked about is anger, because you come in and you're like, how do you feel today?
Yeah.
But I
right.
feel angry. Okay, but anger is a secondary emotion. So what's underneath that?
Okay.
And so it really forces you. So it was just told to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I never read any research studies on that, but I trusted it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I really would think and be like, I guess I am feeling like a little bit like sad, or I'm feeling a little bit frustrated, or I feel inferior.
Yeah.
Like I just feel small.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
and so it's making me angry, and I want to lash out, right? And
Okay, yeah.
so it really helped me process that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably something to that. If Dan or Griff were here, they'd be able to like tell us where exactly that came from, you know. But that's pretty cool to hear. Is like it's that, you know, it is coming or stemming from something else. If that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
and so you're at the point now in your life where you're like, okay, I feel this. Now I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into what is driving that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, and for me, it's just like I got to what I thought was the end of my CrossFit career,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it is or not, but like unaccomplished in it, right? Like I never made the games, never made any money from it. I got paid in Dubai, which was cool
That is
because
pretty
they
sick,
pay you
yeah.
just to go. I
Right,
qualified.
right.
I barely qualified, but they paid me, so that was
Yeah.
cool. So I didn't never made any money in that. I never pushed my social media, so like I lost opportunities there. And then couple that with, okay, now we're having a son
Right.
out of wedlock,
Yeah.
no career,
Yeah.
no money,
Right.
not even married.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And it just led into this, like, I've got to do something. And that's been like this past 4-year journey where now it's like, I got to actually like step up.
Yeah.
And it's been helpful, right? Like I think you have to go through those things that push you into the next phase of life. But now when I feel that anger and that frustration, it's like I hesitate to say this, but it's like it's a healthy self-loathing
Okay.
of the old me. It's like, well, the old me was this. The old me was this. It
Yeah.
didn't do that. I don't want to be that anymore. I want to be this. So I'm going to take the actions to be this person.
Okay.
And it's slowly leading to like feeling proud of myself.
Yeah.
And feeling more accomplished and feeling like I can do this.
Okay.
That gets really deep.
Yeah. No. I
It
like
gets
it.
super deep.
like it. Yeah.
But that's block 3 phase for me.
Yeah.
And so now it's like I just want to be the best version of myself. And so when I go into training, like today, it was such a battle to like pick that bar up. And it was very helpful having you yell at me to pick it up because like it's learning how, like we talked about the other day, it's learning that you're more capable than you think you are
Yeah,
in the
right.
midst of these moments. And it applies to more than just fitness. Like I'm tired and I don't want to program for my clients. Okay, well, you got to do it anyway.
Right.
Then you do it and you get it done and you're like, okay, I'm capable of this.
Yeah.
And it's like this learning process of like, I am capable of far more than I thought. And I just have to step into it and keep going and keep moving forward. And then all of a sudden you're like in a different phase of life.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of going on a tangent. I'm on
No,
like soapbox, but
it's-
I'm just rolling.
It's like it's interesting because like I know we've had some conversations, but like I think this is the first time that we've really kind of like started to dive a little bit deeper into like what's really driving you right now, and kind of
Yeah.
like what's been going on over the last 4 years. So it's interesting to hear as well. So
Yeah.
so your fitness brand right now. I guess we'll take it back a little bit to kind of 2021. You were like, you had Mav, and you're like,
Yeah.
damn, I gotta get my shit together.
Yeah.
So like, what all transpired during that time frame, and then is that kind of the big driving force that kind of what transpired then to where you are right now?
Yeah. I'd like to say yes, but it really wasn't until the beginning of 2024 that things really changed for me.
Okay.
So, 2021, I finished up, and I still wanted to like double down on the whole CrossFit thing. Because I finished 16th, which was my best finish yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm so close. Like I finished the snatch ladder, almost finished really high. Like I was leading the pack.
Wow.
And if I would have just hit 265 sooner and not miss it 4 or 5 times, I mean, dude, I would have finished like 5th or 6th on that, which was crazy for me at the time. Like insane. Like every barbell I was hitting, I just remember like everyone that I knew that knew me was like,
What's
is this happening?
right now? Yeah.
So I finished that and I was excited and I was like, okay, I think I can really do this.
Yeah.
But I needed a job, and so I got into construction. The guy at the gym hired me, and so then my training switched to like 5 a.m. to 7, and then I was doing construction, but I still wasn't making a lot of money there because I was new and he wasn't going to pay me superintendent salary yet. So I'm not making a ton. Fast forward to 2022, I actually qualify again.
Yeah.
4 semis.
Yeah.
And my ex and I at the time were just not doing good because I just wasn't like being a good partner. I was so like I was being a good dad to Maverick, but I wasn't being a good father where I was like focusing on the relationship.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the most important thing. I just wasn't doing that. And so I was like, okay, I just need to put this whole CrossFit thing on hold. And so I pulled out. Like I dropped out. I messaged him. I was like, hey, I'm not going to compete. Like I can't do it. So I pulled out, tried to focus on all that stuff. Fast forward to 2023, things are a little bit better. I'm making a little bit more money. Things are a little bit more solid. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I can do this again. I hurt my back in the open, and so I couldn't do it. So I had to pull out again.
Right.
And then that led to 2024 this year, where I'm still training. I actually started my own construction business for like 6 months.
Okay.
Hated it. Before that, I started a soft washing business. Hated that.
Yeah.
Wasn't making any money. Like literally was not making any money. It's kind of embarrassing. It's very embarrassing to say that because I just wasn't handling my responsibilities.
Okay.
So fast forward to 2024, I decide, like my ex and I decided to get engaged.
Okay.
We get engaged. She said yes for some reason. Should not have. I mean, really should not have. But she said yes, and a few weeks later, calls it off. I'm like, all right, cool.
Damn.
And then I'm out of the house. Like,
yeah, right.
dude. Like this is, I'm laughing and keeping it lighthearted, but it was like, oh shit, like
This sucks.
like I have nothing.
Yeah.
Like I literally have nothing.
Yeah.
I don't have a relationship, barely seeing my son, and I have no money. What am I gonna do?
Right.
And so like I doubled down on like, I'm gonna have to actually commit to something. So I got a job in the restaurant.
Okay.
Very humbling. Not a knock on the restaurant industry, but if I'm keeping it real, it's just like when you're a high caliber something, like you think of yourself as this thing,
It's hard to go back to
and you go down.
Yeah.
It's a kick in the nuts. Like
Yeah.
it really is. But I had to humble myself and be like, this is where I'm at.
Right.
And this is the only job that's going to work with my schedule when I do see Maverick.
Yeah.
And for the fitness business.
Okay.
Like to post content and work out. Like it's the only thing that's going to work. So I'm back in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to maintain fitness, and I start posting on social media, trying to grow my brand, and I just like honed in on that, dude.
Yeah.
Like 3 times a day posting.
Yeah.
I went from from one restaurant to another within the first 6 months, and then last April went into Lapeer
Okay.
here in Alpharetta, and that was like the greatest because like the people there were awesome.
Oh,
so like,
really?
I hope
Okay.
somehow they see this because like
Yeah.
it was fantastic working there.
Awesome.
Really hard, still a restaurant, but it was fun. But during that time, like that's kind of when we and I were connecting. It was like,
Yep.
I'm still training.
Yeah.
I'm still doing everything, and I'm like keeping it on the back burner.
Yeah.
Like okay, maybe I still got a shot at this. I'm gonna stay fit. And I just started growing my business and my brand and trying to sign some clients. And I managed to sign some clients and do some things.
Yeah.
And the motivation really came from anger again.
Yeah.
But it was an anger from like a shame, like
Yeah.
an embarrassment of
Yeah.
like I just feel like a sack of shit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is just so bad. And so I just did that. And then now, literally a week ago, got out of the restaurant.
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm doubling down on my business.
Right.
Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And did really good in the open, like relative to what thought I could do.
Yeah.
And so now I'm on the up and up, I would say.
Right.
But yeah, that's been this block 3 phase where it's just been this journey.
Yeah. And it seems like, like you were kind of going through that transition phase, right, for like a couple years there. And I think you probably deep down knew, like, hey, I belong in this industry. Like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I love doing. Like, it just took some time for you. Like, you started 2 businesses, it sounds like. Just kind of took some time to, like, figure out what you needed to do to start that journey and start that, fitness.
Yeah. And,
path.
funny enough, I tried to get into the fitness aspect at one point of it while I was doing construction.
Okay.
So I started posting, I was going to, sell like a kettlebell program.
Yeah.
And it got too hard. It got in air quotes for those who are listening. It got too hard.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and this is like the cliche. I don't know if you've heard this, but this is so common with addicts, especially. Like, it wasn't until the pain of my current circumstances was greater than the pain I'd have to go through to change that I actually started to change.
Okay.
It's like I got to the point emotionally for me that I was in so much pain and like I hated my life so much. I was like, I don't care what I have to do. Like, I'm going to figure this thing out.
So I don't feel that again.
Yep, 100%.
Got it.
And so it was like the pain of like figuring out, like, dude, I would be sitting out in the driveway at the house where I was living till like 2 a.m. after work, making and posting content. Like, because I had to get Wi-Fi because I couldn't get it at the house where I was staying, which was like I couldn't get Wi-Fi.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I'd be sitting out there in the driveway, like 1 a.m, like trying to make content, like looking at other people's stuff, like what are they doing? Where are the splits?
Yeah.
What is this? Then I'd schedule it out for the next day, and then I'd go to bed, and I have to get up like at 7 when my son gets dropped off. And then it was like dad mode. And then I'm working out with him in the gym, and I'm like filming content while he's in there. And then like he goes down for a nap. I don't nap. I'm making content again. Then I'd go to the restaurant, and I'd work all night. And I just literally did that on repeat over and over and over and over. And I was like, I don't care. Yeah. I'm going to do this. I started with 2,000 followers, and now I'm at like 70 whatever. And it was like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. Because it just, like, the pain of that was not worth the pain of, like, what's my future? Yeah. Like, I don't have anything going for me. And I would say that to people and be like, no, it's not true. You can go. I'm like, how is it not true? Like, I applied for sales jobs. I couldn't even get an entry-level sales job. Wow. Like, I applied to several of them, did interviews, could not get an entry-level sales job. I'm like, what am I going to do? Yeah. They're like, we'll go be a PE teacher. And I was like, okay, well, I could, definitely could, but I'd have to go get my praxis, and you don't get paid jack crap. And I'm supposed to watch my son during the day, and how am I going to start this business? So I was like, yes, I could, but it doesn't really fit. Yeah. It's like the only thing that works is the restaurant. Like, I have to go do it. Yeah. And so, dude, that's what I went into. It was just, man, it was a lot.
So that whole kind of like that period of time, is that kind of where like Strain Forward Fitness came from then?
Strain Forward, yeah. Yeah. Because it comes from Philippians 3:13-14, where Paul says, one thing I do, I forget what lies behind me, and I strain forward toward the goal, my heavenly calling in Christ Jesus. Yeah. And I loved the concept of, like, because Paul, he was at one point, he persecuted Christians. Right. Like killed Christians. Right. And then God transformed his heart, and then he became persecuted. He wrote the majority of the New Testament. Right. And so it's pretty insane. Like, and what he's saying, he's like, I have to forget what's behind because it doesn't matter. Okay. And I have to strain forward. And other versions say, push forward, whatever. But there's a version that says strain forward toward the goal. And I was like, man, that really speaks to me. And I like that strain forward concept. Yeah. And so that's where that came from.
That's awesome. Because he also kind of went through it as well. Like, he was in prison. He wrote one of the books.
In Philippians, he's in prison. Yeah. He was shipwrecked at one point. He was bit by a snake at one point. I think it wasn't him that got stoned. It might have been him that was stoned and then thrown out of the city and then went back into I think that was the book of Acts. It was either him or Steve. It was one or the other, but I think he got stoned as well. He definitely went through it. Yeah. Like, it was not easy for him. Yeah. By any means. And I was just like, man, you can glean a lot of wisdom from that.
Right. But he's also, he was an apostle, right?
No, he wasn't one of the, he was an apostle, but he wasn't one of the 12 disciples.
That's what, okay. Yeah. But he's probably one of the more prolific apostles, correct? Yeah. So it's like, you obviously had something great come out of the suffering, and so like that strain forward is pretty awesome. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's the concept there, and I try to encourage people with that too.
yeah,
And I, for anybody out there who listening is like, well, how could he relate to me if I'm 100 pounds overweight and he's never been 100 pounds overweight?
yeah, yeah.
And I try to talk about this in my stuff. It's like a struggle is a struggle is a struggle.
Yeah.
Like if you've gone through anything where it's forced you to change and have to like go through some form of suffering, right? Not to be dramatic. It's like you can relate to someone. So maybe I don't know what it feels like to be 100 pounds overweight, but I know what it feels like to feel embarrassed and shame about not being like the father I need to be. Like
Yeah.
I know what it feels like, and I've had to change to become that person, and it's been really hard.
Yeah.
So I can talk to you like you just got to keep showing up. You just got to
Yeah.
keep making those choices because they're fundamentals across the board. Change is fundamental.
Right.
It's just actions on repeat over and over toward the person you want to be. Like that's it. So
Yeah, yeah. It's a very interesting way to look at it because overcoming a struggle, you can obviously help. You've been through it, so you can obviously help somebody else overcome that and just be like, hey, these are the steps. You just got to keep, like you said, keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up.
That's
So,
it. That's where that whole keep moving forward thing at the end of my videos came from.
Yeah,
It's like, man, even if it's a millimeter of a step,
just keep going.
that's it, man. It's
Yeah.
a step.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then like that's what drives me now. I try to envision a future where I've said this before, and maybe it's silly to say, but like I see a future where it's like I want to be like able to help people, but like I can see myself on a stage, like talking about this stuff,
Yeah.
and really, really trying to help people. But there's that imposter syndrome. It's like it's not like I can't get there until like I've gone through it.
Yeah.
And so what I mean is like I would like to rekindle things with my ex, like,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be up on her and her timeline and stuff. But like,
For sure.
I just think that being a family would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like getting a business going would be awesome. Like all this,
sure.
like I have these dreams, these goals and things, and whether it works out or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything in my power to make it. But like, I really want to get to a spot sometime in the future where it's like, hey, I get it.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've really been there. I've made a
Yeah.
lot of mistakes.
Yeah, you can kind of like look back and be like, man, I'm not at the top yet, but like I'm a damn good way up that mountain
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So I think about that a lot. That's another part of the motivation.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you got the vision, so it's just like keep driving for that vision.
yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah. We went deep.
Yeah, we did. I don't know how long this is, but I don't know. I feel like this is a pretty good place to wrap it up. If you're cool with it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, Kyle.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for letting me come on and share this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. How do people get a hold of you, find your fitness brand?
So social media, Strain Forward Fitness on Instagram, Strain Forward on YouTube. If you type in Strain Forward, you'll find me.
Okay.
Full name's Kyle Bernier. If you really want to reach me, though, Instagram would be the best. Shoot me a DM.
Sweet. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks, Kyle.
Cool. Appreciate it, man.